Hello everyone, and thank you all for joining us. And welcome to the first Polkadot Hackathon, organized by LineChain and Polkadot Prodigy, and funded by the Polkadot Treasury. This hackathon is an online event spanning 3 weeks of coding and followed by weeks of judging. So, I'm George Ivanov representing Polkadot Prodigy, and with me today are Shivko Todorov from LineChain and Bill Laboon from Web3 Foundation. So, we are here to present the hackathon program for you. So, first it's me from Polkadot Prodigy and Jivko Todorov from LineChain. We will introduce you with the program, and then we will hand over to Bill Laboon from Web3 Foundation, and Bill will provide a brief introduction to Substrate and share some information about grants and Web3 Foundation. So let me share a few words about Polkadot Prodigy. It is an initiative created by the community member with the aim of providing knowledge and education about Polkadot technology throughout events, courses, workshops, and hackathons. We primarily focus in developers and businesses that are interested in implementing blockchain into their workflow systems, and also being located in Eastern European country. We also aim to build a strong community in Bulgaria. So I hope this will be the first of many events. So with that said, I will now hand over the floor to Živko, who will provide us with an introduction to LineChain.
Thank you, Georgi. Awesome. So I'm Živko. I lead the R&D division at LineChain. You can call me Z for short. And LineChain is a blockchain development company that has been building infrastructure, developer tooling, and apps since 2017. We're currently a team of over 120 people, and we've been building in the Polkadot ecosystem since 2020. We've been primarily focused on building core blockchain infrastructure, such as runtime implementations, hosts, and other kinds of developer tooling in the ecosystem, but we've also been involved into building apps as well. We're super excited to participate and support the first Polkadot Prodigy Hackathon because we believe that the Polkadot network and the ecosystem is at an inflection point where we have the network fundamentals in place, and now is the time to empower builders, and this is why we're doing the hackathon. So what can we expect today? We'll cover all the details about the hackathon, so like prizes and challenges. We'll share information about upcoming events. We'll share information about how judging and submission will work, what kind of resources are available for hackers and how they can navigate to it. And at the end, we will also share how everyone can get connected and stay in touch during this during the hackathon weeks. So, in a nutshell, the Polkadot Prodigy Hackathon is 3 weeks of hacking with a prize pool of $58,000 and 5 challenges, 5 challenge tracks and 1 ecosystem challenge. And there's also an additional $9,000 of an ecosystem prize pool. Throughout this hackathon, we will also have 9 workshops by different ecosystem builders, and there will be also 16 world-class mentors to support hackers throughout this journey. And we can move to the prize and challenges, and I'll give the mic to Georgi to share more info about that.
Okay, Thank you, Zivko. So let's talk about the tracks and prices. Uh, okay, if we can change the slide. In this edition, we have crafted 5 main tracks alongside an additional ecosystem challenge. This challenge is funded by GR Technology. Here is the workflow. So hackers have the opportunity to engage in one of the main track, and the same time they can build on the Vara network challenge. However, it's important to note that the team or solo hackers cannot build on 2 main tracks at once. So 2 main tracks at once, it's not possible. Within some main tracks, you will find a task or problem present by the ecosystem teams like Kahuna Network, Moonbeam, Stellar, and more. So this means hackers can opt to compete, build this ecosystem challenge, or they can choose to build within a main track, showcase their creativity. So that means it's not limit. With that clear, let's dive into the specific of each track. So our first track is the Web3 tooling track. This track is dedicated to all sorts of tools and applications that enhance Web3 and public infrastructure and user interface and user experience, facilitating the creation of various tools and applications that expand Web3, including governance tools. Within this track, Moonbeam has a task. All necessary information can be found in Discord, where mentors are also available to address any question you may have. The next up, we have in smart contract track. So in this track, hackers will delve into Ink. Ink is a Rust-based programming language made for crafting a smart contract and on top of substrate-based blockchains. Ink stand out for its efficiency, security, and flexibility in smart contract creation. Also supporting both Ethereum virtual machine and WASM contracts. And additionally, it's both transparent for smooth interoperability. The next up, we have DeFi track. So this track is made for developers interested to building a variety of DeFi related solution, including decentralized exchanges, automated market makers, stablecoin, and much more. Whatever you are, if you are creating a DeFi application based on smart contract or running on substrate chain, this can be your track. Here you will learn not only how develop how to develop a new financial primitive, but also how to work towards integrating existing one. So this includes breaking down barrier between assets across different blockchains. And now, so we are moving to the NFT and gaming track. This track is tailored from developers with a passion of gaming, arts, collectibles, and other NFT uses case that Algin with this NFT track. We are looking for NFT application built on smart contract or running on substrate chain. So within this track, we have several challenge and tasks proposed by Ahuna, Unique, and Laos. And the next one, okay, so and this is the last category. It's the AI Web3 synergy. And in this track, hackers need to create innovative solution that merge AI and Web3 technology, such as smart contracts, Web3 social, DeFi, or NFT. So your mission is to build intelligent, secure solution that have big potential. Uh, so we have a price pool, like Zivko say, of $58,000, along with one additional bonus prize of $9,000. It's offered and sponsored by Vara Network. Uh, in each main track, we have prizes. The first place winner will receive $6,600. The second place winner will take 3,000, and the third place winner will awarded with $2,000. Also, we have like say the challenge sponsored by GIA Technology. It's focusing exclusively on Vara network. And the prices for this challenge are the next one. The first place win $5,000. Second place secure 3,000, and the third place is $1,000. So now I will hand floor back to my colleague Zivko, who will provide us with or more details about the upcoming events.
All right, so today we have the opening ceremony, and throughout the next, I guess, week or so, we're going to have ecosystem workshops from our um, mentors, partners, and builders that are going to share different knowledge bits about the Polkadot ecosystem. We're going to have mentor office hours on the 16th, 21st, and 22nd of May, where hackers will be able to basically receive one-on-one support from mentors throughout their journey. The submission deadline will be 26th of May by midnight, if I'm not mistaken, followed by the judging period, which will be from the 27th of May to the 2nd of June. And of course, we'll have the closing event in Sofia on the 8th of June, and the winner's announcement on the same date as well. So let's go briefly throughout the ecosystem workshops. So the first one on the 7th of May, I guess later today, will be Intro to Rust by David Petrov and Pavel Atanasov from LimeChain. The next day, on the 8th of May, we'll have a workshop on utilizing the Polkadot SDK for Unity by Romain and Rostislav from Ahuna Network. And then we're going to have Intro to Substrate by Georgi Georgiev and Martin Dobrev from LimeChain. On the 9th of May, we're going to have a workshop on using the Unique Networks JavaScript and TypeScript SDK for ultra-rapid development by Max Andreev. And then a workshop on the Vara Network Challenge by Luis Revemirez. On the 10th of May, we're going to have a workshop on DeFi by Aziz Zainuddin from StellarSwap, and another one on ink and smart contracts development in Polkadot with POP by Alex Bean. Yes. 13th of May, we're going to have Web3 tooling workshop by Alberto Penario from Parity, workshop on Moonbeam by Kevin Nilsson, workshop the next day on the 14th, we're going to have an NFT workshop by Tony and Gerard from Laos Network. And then on the 15th of May, we're going to have a workshop on UXEM by Dominique Saripapazoglu from Parity. Those are the workshops, and I'm going to briefly go through our world-class mentor list that will be available to support hackers throughout the hackathon. So Alex Bean from Rogue, Dimitar Jalev, Stanislav Vyachev from LimeChain, Luis Alberto Ramirez Albino from Gear Foundation, Martin Dober from LimeChain, Kevin Nilsson from Moonbeam, Galin Ganchev, Georgi Radev, Ivan Ivanov, and Konstantina Blazhukova from LimeChain as well. The next on the list is Stanimir Stoyanov from LimeChain, Brian Sasbon from NeoPower, Anton Rusev and Mikhail Kirov from LimeChain, Alberto Penayo from Parity Technologies, and Dominique Saripapazoglu from Parity as well. And next up will be informed judging and submissions by Georgi.
Thank you, Shivko. So, all right, let's see who our judges are. First, I want to take a moment to express our gratitude to our team of 18 judges, just like our mentors. All of them are volunteers. I want to extend a sincere thank you to each and every one of them. Without their assistance, many of these events will not be possible. We have the first Sophie Mayor, it's a program manager. Kirill Pimenov, it's CEO founder of Campella. Brian Saspon from NeoPower. Alex Bean from Rock. Brian Chen from Akala. Kevin Nelson from Moonbeam. Chris Lee from OAK Network. Elliot from Nodal. Pavel Salas and Luis Alberto from Gear Technology. And the next slide. We have Artu Chelvi from IQVI, Edgar Salinas from Peranto, Nicolas Morgan and Dominic from Parity Technology, and Alexandrina, Christo, Vladimir, and the speaker Zivko, all them from LimeChain. So now let's talk about what you need to know for submitting your project. So let's start with how your project will be judged. The judges are going to look a few important things. First one, how useful your project is. It's this project help Polkadot and Kusama substrate ecosystem, or it's bringing any value. And the second thing is how original and creative your idea is. And it's for project. Is this project is different from what's already out there? The next one, it's how easy your project is to use. That's mean people can easily use your project, and also does it have a good plan for making money and staying around for a while? The next one is how much your project help Web3. That's mean does your project move Web3 forward in any way? And the last one is how hard your project was to make it. So did it take a lot of skill to make it your project, or it is technically impressive or complicated? So now it's turned about what you need to do for submit your project. So about the submission requirements, So if you are using a substrate chain, try to make it a live site or Docker image. Avoid using Linux executable. Make sure your submission includes a file explaining your project, a short video about 3 minutes, and away from the judge to test it. And then your project should be open source and related to the Polkadot and Kusama substrate ecosystem. And then provide a GitHub repo link accessible to the judge. And also one person should make a GitHub page from this project. Provide project description, name, summary of the project, team members, the category of the submission, general description, and the problem being addressed. Also, video presentation, and make a short video around 3-5 minutes, and showing of your project and how it's work. And then a list of technology stack used. What tools and tech did you use to build your project? And also demonstration link. Provide a link of the live for working and environment and the solution you have developed. So quick head up. Before our coding period ends, we will have a mentor office session to review the submission requirements and rules more deeply. And all details are in the Notion document we have sent out. So please give it a read before this session. And now time to the rules. Firstly, make your calendar from the submission deadline. It's May 26, 2024 at midnight UTC time. This deadline is not negotiable, so ensure your team leader submit your entry via your profile on Taikai Network. Only one project per team from the main track, plus Vara Network Challenge. Also, make sure to credit an existing project you use. Only original code will be considered from evaluation. Always verify the license of any public repository you are utilized. And last one, read the participant code of conduct and rules. About the resource, all the necessary information you need, it's contained within our guide, which we have sent to you via email. You will find everything you need to start building and access this resource. So within this guide, you will find resource categorized for beginner, intermediates, and advanced user. Also, this include information about the ecosystem, grants from Web3 Foundation, starter templates, toolkits, documentation for all ecosystem challenge, and much more. And additionally, you can find documentation from the ecosystem within our Discord server. So to access this, simply join our server, navigate to the ecosystem challenge section, and then click on the emoji corresponding on the challenge you are interested in. So this will grant you with the role necessary to view the information related to this specific challenge. Also included tags and additional resources. For those who don't have OrGuide or Notion, you can download from here. And also, if you know any friends you want to build with you, now it's time to invite them. Please use this QR code. Let's a moment if someone need to scan it. So maybe if we can change slide. So now, for all hackers, we are eager to continue building within our ecosystem. Our partner at Parity have recently launched a program called Alpha. This program serves as your gateway to advancing your project within the Polkadot ecosystem. And resume the Alpha program. It's tailored from teams and projects looking to elevate their idea and closely collaborate with Polkadot's core products, including XCM, Frame, and Cumulus. Who can join this program? They're welcome teams and in various stages of deployment. Parachains team that are creating new chains or products with the Polkadot network, infrastructure providers, and DApp teams. So, with that said, I want to extend my gratitude to everyone to being with us today. We are available in Discord for any question you may have. So now I like to hand over the floor to Bill Laboon. It's the Director of Education at Web3 Foundation, who will share some insight about Substrate and existing program at Web3 Foundation, such as grant and etc. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you, George, and thank you, Z. Really appreciate it. I'm really happy to talk a little bit today about building on Polkadot. I'm going to start with just a brief overview of Polkadot itself, and then we'll go into Substrate and the details of different programs that we have and different resources for you. So for those of you who don't know about Polkadot, it's a heterogeneous multi-chain protocol that connects and secures blockchains with pooled security and interoperability. Or in plain terms, it's a set of blockchains that work together and talk to each other securely. So the nice thing about this is that it's very scalable because we have lots of different blockchains where the the computation can take place, but they all exist under the same consensus mechanism, which means they can interact with each other securely and they share security. So how this works, we have a relay chain, which is a connector chain of Polkadot that provides the security and interoperability. And then individual teams can build parachains. So these are their own blockchains built with Substrate, which we will get into shortly, that connect into the relay chain and can interact with each other. And how this works on the parachain side is that the Polkadot node or the parachain node is actually running a blob of WebAssembly bytecode, which means that it's very easy to upgrade, to make changes. You can really focus on the code instead of having to worry about coordinating forks. So a legacy blockchain upgrade, essentially, you have to let all of the node runners know that the rule set is going to change at some point and give them the new software. Whereas with Polkadot, the runtime, the rules of the blockchain for any Polkadot-based chain is actually stored on chain. So whenever there's an upgrade, any node that's following automatically upgrades. And so we can see we've had over 1,000 upgrades already on Polkadot between parachains and the relay chain since Polkadot launched in 2020. It's a very easy and relatively seamless thing to do. So, again, just a very quick overview of Polkadot. But if you're looking to build on Polkadot, we have the Polkadot SDK or substrate, which is an extensible framework for building blockchains. And the nice thing about using Polkadot SDK is you can create a blockchain without having to know too much code, and you can just focus on the parts of the code that matter to you. You don't have to reinvent data storage or networking, these things that are very common. You actually can reuse libraries from other parachains that other people have built and construct your own blockchain. So this is done using a tool called Frame, the framework for runtime aggregation of modularized entities. If you've done any sort of development in the past, you'll recognize these as just software libraries or gems in Ruby. Lots of different programming languages have different names, but essentially software libraries that you can add to your blockchain. There are hundreds of these available, these frame palettes, as they're called, the libraries. So this is just a sample of some of these. There are lots that are produced by Parity. There are others that have been developed and open sourced by other developers in the ecosystem. So if you want capabilities like multiple assets, or DAOs, or having EVM compatibility, or democracy, or multisigs, all of these are as simple as adding them into your runtime. So just including a library. So if I had a runtime with these capabilities and I wanted to upgrade to add multisig, all I would have to do is create a new runtime with the new multisig, and depending on how, with the multisig palette, and depending on how my governance is set up, then vote in that new runtime, and the network would automatically upgrade, and you have a new capability in your network. So again, it's a very cool way of adding features onto your blockchain, of making changes and upgrades in a very modular way. So just looking at this a little bit more deeply at like, what is a substrate node? So the three core technology used are libp2p, which is the peer-to-peer networking library, WebAssembly, and Grandpa, which is our finalization gadget. There's also some other things that are used, like Babe, which is a block production mechanism. So the idea of the node is you have a WebAssembly subsystem in your node, which connects to other systems through libp2p, but it has this replaceable runtime inside of it, right? So I like to think of it, I'm an old school developer, I think of it as like a Java virtual machine, and you have JVM bytecode. But you can think of it, anytime you have some virtual machine, like a browser that's running JavaScript inside of it, right? There's sort of a one step removed from running on the bare metal. And that's similar here, right? A substrate node, the blockchain code is not running directly on the blockchain node. Rather, you have this WebAssembly virtual machine that can run the runtime. If you're interested in building on Substrate, OpenZeppelin recently released their runtime template. You may have heard of OpenZeppelin. They've done a lot of smart contract foundational libraries in the Ethereum ecosystem, but they've also produced a runtime template, which is a very basic but working Substrate node. So you can just git clone this down and have a simple working blockchain on your machine, add other machines, add new modules to customize your chain functionality. Provides a very easy way for you to start in a secure way. So what this means for developers, this whole idea of having Substrate, of having WebAssembly as a separate step, is that compared to a lot of blockchains, you have a lot of leeway in your technical freedom versus development ease. All right, and so this does tend to be sort of diametrically opposed, right? So on one side, no development work at all, but also no real freedom, is just using an existing application. On the absolute other side is developing a blockchain from scratch. You have nothing and you start writing some code. You can do whatever you want, but it's going to be very difficult. And all of these are really possible with Substrate, depending on what the needs of your specific project are. So, I think, for this team, for this project, for this group of people, you're mostly interested in things in the middle here, starting with developing a smart contract. And you can do that on Polkadot on various parachains that have smart contract functionality. A-Star, Moonbeam, Akala, all of these allow you to deploy smart contracts, and even in several different languages. So there is, EVM-based smart contract chains like Moonbeam. So you can write in Solidity or Viper or whatever other EVM-based language you like. Going a little bit more, in depth, you can make your own blockchain with Substrate and just use other people's modules, right? And just add what you want. This requires relatively minimal coding. You then can actually make your own modules, your own palettes, or modify ones that already exist. So we are going deep into Substrate frame. And if you really want to modify things, you actually can modify the core code of Substrate. This generally isn't necessary, but if you're doing something very unusual, you want to try a very different consensus mechanism, like make a more Solana style network, with Substrate, that's also possible. Substrate really lets you make a lot of changes and do a lot of things. So this is what I think is really the cool part of developing on Polkadot, is that if you're developing on Ethereum, for instance, you're developing a smart contract, you're putting it up there, you're sort of stuck at that smart contract level. And if you are writing your own blockchain, you're sort of stuck at the developing blockchain from scratch. When you're using Substrate, you have this very wide variety of approaches depending on what your particular needs are. Right, so if you want to make some really radical change, you can start modifying Substrate core. If you want to do something that's more in line with the traditional smart contract, then you can just write a smart contract. Most teams are going to want to do things that are in between those two, but any of them are possible. Another nice thing about developing on Polkadot and developing with Substrate is that you automatically get a user interface. So you have this Polkadot.js app can connect to essentially any Substrate-based chain and interact with it. Although the interface is very developer focused, if you're developing on Polkadot, that's certainly something you care about. You don't need it to be really user-friendly. Rather, you want it to work with any Substrate-based chain and give you all the power of what you need to do. And so the really great thing about developing on Polkadot is you automatically have a UI, right? So you don't have to develop this yourself. Just as soon as you write a node, you add some features, Polkadot.js can connect to it, figure out what those features are, and provide the appropriate pages and appropriate interfaces for it. So it allows you to very quickly have a user interface to your blockchain. Something to be aware of, right, is that just because you're building with the Polkadot SDK or Substrate does not mean that you have to be a part of Polkadot, and vice versa. Actually, you could develop a chain on using another tool that is not with Substrate. But there are lots of teams, even those outside the Polkadot ecosystem, that realize the Polkadot SDK is really powerful. So Aleph Zero, for instance, which is one of those systems that have an alternate consensus mechanism. StarkNet, one of its data availability systems, Madara, is built with the Polkadot SDK. Edgeware is an independent smart contract platform built with the Polkadot SDK. Avail, a data availability layer made by one of the co-founders of Polygon, Polkadot SDK. Cardano Midnight is a side chain for Cardano, built with the Polkadot SDK. BitTensor, XX Network, Energy Web. There are a lot of different chains that are built with the Polkadot SDK. It's really battle tested, really powerful, and used quite often. So I don't want to dive too much into the details here, but I did put together a quick comparative overview if you're looking to build a chain or build on some other network. So just I can share this with the team if people are interested in looking at it. But we can see there are a lot of different options for building your own chain or building a some sort of distributed application. So on Ethereum, essentially, you're focused on building a smart contract. Hyperledger Besu allows you to use some of the tools of Ethereum, but make your own chain, so you have a little bit more power over it. Hyperledger Fabric has a lot more options in terms of the languages that you can develop on, but these are generally proof of authority chains, similar to Hyperledger Besu. Or Corda, the next one we'll talk about. Corda lets you do a lot of these things, but built on the JVM. But again, these tend to be private chains. Cosmos SDK is probably the most similar to Substrate. But there are some differences. For instance, it's written in Go instead of Rust, and runtimes are not upgradable without a fork. Polygon, Ethereum L2 lets you, again, it's much more EVM based. It's harder to do some of these more complicated or more out there ideas that you can build with on Substrate. Couple of other differences. Generally, I would say like Substrate is very good in terms of governance. The governance mechanisms that are built into it are very strong. Upgrading it is generally much easier than using these other chains where you have to focus on a fork. And if you're building with Substrate, you automatically can join Polkadot. You automatically can use XCM to interact with other chains on Polkadot. We provide a lot of technical and financial assistance. So there is an on-chain treasury with treasury proposals and bounties. Last I looked, there was approximately $300 million worth of treasury available on Polkadot. Web3 Foundation has our grants program for technical projects that are useful for the whole ecosystem. Our decentralized futures project at futures.web3.foundation, I'll have the URLs in the next slide here, is a way for us to kickstart businesses and people building on Polkadot that are looking to do things in a self-funding way. So it's already been mentioned, the Polkadot Alpha program for people looking for support on building. We have the Polkadot Blockchain Academy, which is a 4-week in-person deep dive into building on Substrate. There is also an online version of that coming in the next cohort. So you could do this either in person in Singapore, or you can do it online. And all of the resources for Polkadot Blockchain Academy are also becoming open source, so you can read through them, see what they're going through. At Web3 Foundation, we've built several edX courses and more on the way for blockchain fundamentals, for understanding Polkadot a little bit more in depth, and for understanding Rust. So lots of URLs. So Polkadot.network is where you can always find like the latest information about Polkadot. We have an active subreddit at r/Polkadot. Follow @Polkadot on Twitter. Substrate.io, you can find information about Substrate, tutorials, updates. The Polkadot Wiki is hundreds and hundreds of pages about information on Polkadot. We call it the source of truth on Polkadot. If you're having trouble developing on Substrate, then you can go to the Stack Exchange, substrate.stackexchange.com. Grants Web3 Foundation, where we've given out over 500 grants to people and teams building on Polkadot. We have the Polkadot Alpha program there. And finally, if you're interested in the Blockchain Academy, you can sign up for one of the next cohorts. I think the Singapore cohort, which is starting at the end of this month, is already done, but the next cohort, they should be accepting applications soon. So thank you very much. I appreciate having the opportunity to talk to you about Polkadot. Please feel free to reach out to me or any of the mentors here if you have any questions.